So again, Axel, really a pleasure to welcome you, and we listen to you, and we are happy to learn more about Kristiania.
Okay, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, I should say. So welcome everybody. This is from Kristiania. We have a campus in Oslo in Norway, and I'm gonna tell you more about it. I have a presentation that I hopefully you will be able to see. And these are the topics that I wanted to speak about. It's 15 minutes, or is it 20?
Yeah, you can go for 20. So
Yeah,
because
okay.
we usually, if your presentation is clear, we have 1 or 2 questions at the end. So
Yeah,
feel
sure.
free to take the 20 minutes, no problem.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about where we are. I'm going to talk about what we are, and I'm going to talk about why you should choose Kristiania, and also a little bit about how you can choose Kristiania. So that's the agenda. So I'm going to start with telling you a little bit about our school. So it was founded in 1914, so it's quite old, but it has had a lot of developments throughout the years. And believe it or not, I wasn't there when it started in 1914. Although when I started in 1993, probably before you were born, all of you. But so I've been there for quite a long while, and I'm actually based on the west coast of Norway. I don't know how well you know Norway, but it's a long country and it's not too far away from France. But the capital is Oslo, and that's also where we have our main campus. We have about 17,000 students overall, which includes quite a few online students. So on campus, I would say there's about 11,000. But within your areas of your discipline, I should say, communication, leadership, marketing, that kind of thing, there's about maybe actually closer to 4,000 students. So I don't know if it's gonna feel big or small to you, but Oslo is obviously a much smaller city than Lyon and Paris. But and also the center of Oslo is quite dense, which means that it's all in walking distance, more or less. So all our buildings are in the middle of the city, and we're a private or non-profit foundation. So which means that our own students are paying tuition fees to go to our school. But because we have an Erasmus agreement, you don't pay anything to spend a semester with Kristiania. And we're trying at least to be very close to working life. So our ambition is to be a university or a working life university. So if you decide to study, that's what we tell our Norwegian students. If you decide to take a full degree with us, you're going to be working on real life projects. You're going to have clients. You're going to work with projects that you would recognize when you go out into the workforce. I think that's probably similar to how you operate in France, I'm sure. So these are the numbers again, quite a few bachelor programs. And we also have a professional college, which is a 2-year diploma kind of thing, which is even more practical than the bachelor degrees. And we have master degrees, we have PhDs and blah, blah, blah. And the continuing education obviously is the one that we do online. A lot of people who work already will do some programs and some courses online. But if you decide to come to Oslo and to Kristiania, you will have regular teaching on campus. And most of your projects will be in groups, probably, especially within communication. If you have a real life client, you probably were going to work 2 or 3 together and present your solutions to the client in the end. But that varies from subject to subject. So our vision, so to say, is to be a little bit ahead, trying to make education and programs that maybe haven't been seen yet, but is answering some of the problems or challenges that working life have already. So tomorrow studies today, that's sort of our slogan, I guess. And mission is slightly different than having a vision. Our mission in the Norwegian sort of educational sector is to give education to all. That's also the initial idea from 1914 already, that you should be able to study even if you were from a small place, if you were from a big city, if you're from a remote area, have less money or more money, whatever. Everybody should be able to have an education. That's the ideal. So I don't know if you have been to Norway before. Some of you probably have been to the Alps at least. So if you go to the Alps, parts of Switzerland maybe especially would be somehow similar to what you will find in Norway in terms of nature. But maybe it's unique in the sense that the biggest city has green areas and skiing resorts, like almost literally walking distance from the city center. So, and of course you can go swimming in the wintertime if you desire, as you can see on the photo. And of course go skiing. We're all into cross-country skiing especially, maybe more so than downhill. If you want to go downhill, normally you would have to go a little bit further out of the city. And the image on the left-hand side, if you're here on the 17th of May, which you probably will be, no, you won't because, well, depending on if you're going to go on an exchange in the springtime, you're going to be on the 17th of May, which is our national day, which is celebrated very differently to most countries. It's no military parade, it's a children's parade, rather than showing off military force. So a little bit different. And of course, I'm based actually on the West Coast, as I said, so it's a nice train ride across the country to go from the east side to the west side, and you can see quite a lot of spectacular scenery on that trip as well. This is something that a lot of students do. If you're here for a semester, you do maybe half a week away traveling, which is quite nice. So what can you do? We have 4 different schools. So instead of calling them faculties, we have schools. So there's one school of arts, design and media that will probably fit into some of the backgrounds that you have. So again, it's split into departments, but you have film and media, you have more creativity, narrative and design, and music and performing arts. I don't think you do performing arts, but that's what we do in the school. And we also have the School of Communication, Leadership and Marketing, and I think even more of you would fit into this school, where you have the Department of Communication and the Department of Marketing. So we work from anything from journalism to PR to strategic communication, so anything from very commercial to more arty kind of stuff. So and editorial stuff as well. So I'm sure you will find a lot of interesting subject areas. We also have a School of Economics, Innovation and Technology, which is more into the field of IT and well, anything to do with information technology, really. And the economic side of it and innovation side is more into entrepreneurship. So some of you probably have subject areas that are close to entrepreneurship. And we have courses that cross over the different schools. So you might be able to touch upon that field as well. One school that's probably not something that you will encounter is the School of Health Sciences. So I'm not going to talk too much about that, but the most popular course that we do is applied psychology. And I mentioned that because of psychology, you know, if you do anything within marketing, you touch upon people's minds and how you can attract clients to your product or services. So applied psychology is very popular. So these are our 3 campus buildings in the city of Oslo. If you come to the School of Communication, Leadership and Marketing, you'll be in Kvadraturen. You will pick up some Norwegian when you hear from me for half a year. The Kvadraturen is the image in the middle of the slide here. The most traditional one and also the most central one. Fjæringen, which is on the upper left-hand side, is more for the art, design, and media. And Urtegata on the right-hand side there is for our performing arts and music. So that's just the location-wise, but all of these are in walking distance. So you're going to walk from your accommodation to any of these buildings and between the buildings as well. So this is our international team that you will meet when you're here, and also the ones that are going to answer your questions when you have them, when you do apply or during your application phase, and before you arrive in Norway, and of course after. Let me see, that was quick. I could show you a little bit more about, I was thinking about the courses, because I wanted to show you something from the web page as well, which makes it a little bit easier to. Just gonna get rid of my presentation. Let me see if I click on this. And our webpage, Kristiania.no, works a little bit slow at the moment, but I'm going to give it a little bit of time. But I'm going to show you that normally you would be nominated by your home institution. So become an exchange student. Your home institution will nominate you when you apply. And with your application, you should have a CV, which just shows us what you've done even before you went to EFAP, and your grades maybe from the first semester, or depending on if you're in your second year or in your first year when you apply. And you should also have write a short personal statement, which means more of a motivation, a little bit about your background, why you chose to study at EFAP, what you've done or what you're doing presently, and maybe why you would like to spend a semester at Kristiania in Oslo. And I'm sure some of you would ask, so what exactly can we do? That depends on if you're coming for springtime or the autumn. If you would these students be coming for this autumn already?
Actually, it depends on the program. If they're in the final year, they can choose either fall or spring, and it depends on the subject you offer. So we have to check when we can transfer.
Yeah, sure. But these are the courses that we run this spring at least. So in the springtime, it's quite focused on more business communication related areas. So for example, the international business communication, this is quite a good description. If you go to this page, and I can send you a link afterwards.
Okay.
Because this even has a video where the course leader somewhere will make a presentation of the course. And normally you would go on not only an excursion, but a study trip to Dublin. in Ireland because the course leader has a cooperation with Griffith College in Dublin, and they do some of the modules together.
Ah, so okay. We are in partnership with them. So.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, excellent. So you know Claire, probably.
Sure, Claire Cox. It's a friend of mine, really.
Yes, that's what I feel as well. So yeah, that's a good person to know. Excuse me. And then you have the leadership and management, the Nordic model. That depends on if you're more interested in management in general, and also the international internship, which is quite good as well, where you do the first 9 to 10 weeks, you do lectures on campus, and then you have an internship of I think it's 8 or 9 weeks. And at the end of the semester, or closing to the end of the semester, you have another lectures again, and you have a project that you need to fulfill. And again, you can see an introductory video on that course, especially. So those are the courses that we run this spring. But if you wanted to see, obviously we don't have the courses yet for autumn 2023, but these are the courses that were run this autumn, so 2022. And again, the international business communication runs in both semesters, but you have more courses within sort of intercultural communication, leadership, and retail design, for instance.
And so, sorry, how many CTS do you have by
every package? These are sort of packed for 30 ECTS.
Ah, okay. So students choose like 30 CTS. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So it makes it easier for us to organize the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Some of these games, 3D VFX, you would need some experience. Some you would have done some modules before. So it says like 3D animation requires previous experience with 3D animation, and VFX the same. But so you will have to choose the whole package that brings you up to 30 ECTS. You wouldn't be able to choose one VFX and one game production. You would have to stick to one of those packages. So at least those are the courses that we run presently. There might be changes, but at least the international business communication runs every semester, and international internship as well. So those you can choose any semester, and they're going to run next year as well. I think probably we can open up for some questions, maybe.
All right. So do we have some questions, student? Was it clear, or
did you understand anything of what I said?
Now we are going to test,
Yes. Well, you can write them in the chat. I'm opening the chat as well. So if you prefer writing.
I think Julien is typing right now. Or maybe what is the budget for housing? What do you have an idea? Yeah.
Yeah. It's not too expensive actually. It's if you say around 6,000 euros, no, 600 euros a month.
And it's for a room in a residence or a private market?
That's a room in a student home.
Okay.
So and again, it's a walking distance from our campuses.
Okay. It was Julien's question. So the cost, maybe transportation. Is it no?
Yeah. You don't really need that much transportation. You can walk for most of the time, but you can buy like a bus card or a tram card, and you would probably pay like 50 euros a month for that card, and you can do any of those transportations, which also takes you to the hillside. If you want to go skiing or something like that, you can go a little bit outside of the main city center within those 50 euros. And I think a lot of you would probably think that Oslo is very expensive. But
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
usually the reputation of the
yes,
city. Yeah.
but I think it's a little bit misguided, because if you compare prices on beer and wine, it's very expensive. But
Yeah,
that's
okay.
not. But that's because of tax. The government doesn't want us to drink wine, so they put a lot of tax on that. So I rather like there used to be like a Big Mac index. What would a Big Mac cost in Oslo compared to Paris? And I think, I don't know, what is a Big Mac? Do you know what does a Big Mac cost in McDonald's these days in Paris? Does
I'm not
anyone
a
know?
McDonald's person. I don't know.
Five
Yeah, they
euro
say
maybe,
5
exactly.
euros maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So more like maybe a little bit, maybe 6 euros in
Yeah.
Norway. So
Uh-huh.
it's not that much more expensive, you know. So living costs, although I mean this last year there's been a lot of increase in prices
Mm.
in living
Like,
expenses in
yeah.
general, and food and everything. But I think compared to the bigger cities or the biggest cities in Europe, Oslo is about the same level. But again,
Okay.
alcohol is much more expensive, but most of the other stuff would be comparable to what you have at home.
Okay.
Yeah. And especially if you live in the student homes, that's pretty reasonable. I mean, if you went to the private market, you would pay more, I'm sure.
Okay.
It
Yeah. So
also depends.
you recommend yeah the student home as
Yeah,
a,
yeah,
and even if just for a semester,
yeah,
it's
absolutely. Yeah,
probably easier. Yeah.
because we have reserved so and so
Hmm.
many
Okay.
apartments for
All right. You
students.
pre-booked
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
apartments to make
yeah,
sure that
yeah,
international exchange student
yeah,
can secure housing. Ah, good to
exactly.
know. Good to
And
know.
it's you can still within that you can decide for yourself whether you want to live with your own kitchen, for instance, or if you want to share a kitchen with 4 or 5. You can even share a bathroom. You would never share a room.
Hmm.
Bedroom you would always have on your own. But there are some cheap alternatives that would give where you would share bathroom with maybe one person
Hmm.
and kitchen with 4 or 5. So the more individual, the more expensive, obviously. So if you want to have your own kitchen, your own bathroom, your own living room, then it's going to be more expensive. But in general, about 600 euros. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, maybe
Sorry.
do for the students. So is it clear to maybe could it would be nice if you can send us the link for the subject.
Yes, I will. I can do that
So
in the chat already.
yeah, in the chat
Yeah.
because so student can just check again. And so
Absolutely.
according to so you have communication, but more related to business, so and marketing. So that
Yes.
the two main focus you
Yeah.
offer.
Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to courses that are taught in English, obviously we have a lot of
Yeah. Mm.
much broader course
Yeah.
number within in Norwegian. So if any one of you speak Norwegian, you can do much more. Yeah, but yeah,
Maybe do we have someone speaking
yeah,
Norwegian? We never know, you know. But no, mostly English will be.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay,
in
so
terms
but
of the international students, I didn't tell you, but in the autumn, we normally have maybe close to 50 international students.
okay, it's a good number,
And
yeah.
in springtime, a little bit lower, maybe closer to 30, I would say, at least for
Okay.
the time being.
Mm.
So
Well, it's a nice number, so students
yes,
can they
yeah,
can know each other and
absolutely. And there's a lot of unions, the student unions, and then
yeah,
there's the
association, yeah.
Erasmus
Mm.
Association, and there's a lot of things going on if you want it to be. And I think, or maybe the reputation says that Norwegians are difficult to get to know, but I think our experience is that a lot of Norwegians would like to be with international students because they enjoy speaking English, and some of them had French in school. They would like to speak French, maybe.
Mhm. Yeah,
So yeah, I think it, and some of these classes, at least, you enter into, well, not only some, but most of these classes have Norwegian students as well. It's not only for international students. So the international communication subject is open to Norwegian students. So it's normally 50-50. So
okay,
if there's
so
50
local,
students,
so
there are
your
25
local
Norwegian
student,
students.
they are mixed with the international, which is great. Yeah.
Yes. So I think you even during COVID, when we had a lot of stuff on Zoom, they managed to get to know Norwegian students, even if they at the first a few months didn't meet physically. They still got to know each other. So we were surprised at the end of that. That was 2021, I suppose. That they still said, we got to know a lot of Norwegians. So we just couldn't understand. So how did you meet? And they, we met, even though at first we met on Zoom. So now that you can do everything physically, I'm sure you will get to know Norwegian students as well. And students from elsewhere in Europe, I guess.
Okay. No, yeah, I'm sure it will be. If it's a small group, it's always easy to make connection, even with local students. So
yes, that's true.
Okay.
But probably the same when our students come to you.
Yeah, exactly. So up to the campus where they go. So Paris is the most popular. But so fall, we usually have 80 international students. And spring, we have less. We have around 60. Bordeaux is smaller. There are more like 20 students.
Okay.
But yeah, we still have small numbers.
Yes. Okay, that's good to know.
Okay. Okay, so I think it was very clear. So thank you again, Axel, and I really hope to welcome you very soon in France, in Paris, or
would be very nice.
Anywhere else. So have a nice afternoon or a nice evening, because it's almost and let's stay in contact. And I hope that the student really enjoyed the presentation, and we stay in touch if we need more.
I'm going to send you an updated PDF of the presentation, so you can send it to students if you like.
Yeah, great. Wonderful.
Okay.
Have a good day. Bye. Take care. Au revoir.